Alongside the emergency in Ukraine, we remember today that according to the UNHCR, around 85 million people are displaced in the world right now, a figure that has doubled since 2010. More than 10 years into the Syria crisis, Lebanon still hosts the largest number of refugees per capita in the world, with the government estimating that 1.5 million Syrian refugees are present in the country. We remember that Lebanon is a small country facing an economic crisis and high unemployment, so you can imagine the tensions within that nation. Remember also that most of the 13 million Syrians that have been displaced are desperate to return to their homeland and help rebuild their nation and culture. But from Syria and the Middle East, we zoom into the scenario in Bangladesh, where over 1 million Rohingya refugees have fled violence from Myanmar in successive waves of displacement. A majority of these stateless Rohingya refugees live in one camp, which is home to around 750,000 people. The Bangladeshi government in recent months have been destroying small businesses and shops on this site. And there is pressure mounting on this stateless people group to go back home to Myanmar, where there continues to be persecution and suffering. We need to pray for political and religious imagination and solutions for all the multiple agencies, such as the UNHCR, who are on the ground amongst these 750,000 people. When confronted with such overwhelming data and information, I think our default is often to focus all our energy and focus downstream. And I think it is vital and right that we do this. But I think, like everything, there is a call to be strategic and focus our energies and prayers upstream. We need a systemic change in our politics, our economics, and in our collective minds and our hearts. The catastrophes and the displacement of millions are so often rooted in the decisions of a few leaders. So with empathy, what is it to go upstream and pray into the childhood and generational trauma that many of these leaders carry? Richard Rohr talks about the fact that what is not transformed will always be transmitted. And as many commentators have suggested, the war of Ukraine comes from the seeds that were planted in the horrific siege of Leningrad, which is where Vladimir Putin was born just 8 years after the siege was lifted in 1944. In this siege, Putin's 1-year-old brother was killed. And the same treatment is now continuing today in Mariupol in Ukraine.